Okay, we're just getting some news. Okay, we've got some breaking news that I want to bring to all of our panelists right now. Prime Minister Modi likely to speak to President Putin in a short while from now. We're getting information from top government sources that the Prime Minister is likely to have a phone chat with President Putin in just a short while from now. Ambassador Prakash, I want you to weigh in on this. You know, we heard the Ukrainian ambassador earlier today put out a message. He held a press conference practically pleading with the Indian government, the Indian Prime Minister, to get on the phone with Putin, saying, you know, you've got influence, speak to him, call him off, try and reason with him, make him see sense. You know, those are the kinds of words that were actually used. It was an emotional time, of course. But what would this conversation be about? The Indian government has also held a high-level, almost a cabinet committee on security level meeting on the Ukraine crisis. What would this phone call be about, sir? What would it contain?
What the Ukrainian ambassador said is something that has come to light. What we do not know, perhaps, is that some world leaders would have weighed in with Prime Minister Modi, and which we'll get to know by and by. Prime Minister Modi and President Putin have a very good equation.
Yes.
And India is not prescriptive. India is not in the business of threatening countries. So I think India's Prime Minister Modi, when he speaks to President Putin, would perhaps give his point of view. And that is something that has been articulated, in my view, at the UN Security Council also, because the solution to this issue is the good old diplomatic talks, is strategic accommodation, it is negotiations, it is give and take. War and conflict is not the solution. But the challenge, Shiv, as I see it, and I hope I'm wrong, is that President Putin had waited all this while, hoping that the core concern would be recognized, even if they are not given official guarantees or written guarantees that Ukraine will not be a part of NATO. At least that will be understood. But now that was not forthcoming, he has pressed the button. And he has taken a huge risk because, it is now that he has pressed the button, he has gone in, he will complete, in my view, what he has set out to do. I agree with General Hasnan, what he was saying, but now that he has started it, why will he leave it unfinished? I mean, he would make sure that there is, in the foreseeable future, a regime does not happen in Ukraine which is unfriendly to Moscow. And I don't think that he has any interest in occupying Ukraine, because that is going to haunt him. It would become another Afghanistan. But to have a pro-Russia regime is something that he would want to do. I also am a little perplexed. Last point that I would like to make is the categorical statement by President Biden yesterday, when he said that we will defend every inch of quote-unquote NATO territory. I mean, that was very clear to President Putin that the Western world will not put boots on the ground. And was that kind of a categorical statement and also a statement to say that we have no intention of fighting Russia? What it meant, I mean, it is a little perplexing, but now that we have this situation, I think the room for diplomacy has receded for the time being, till the strategic objectives of President Putin are achieved.
Okay, and in light of that, of the fact that the possibility of diplomacy has receded until strategic objectives of Russia have been achieved, Mr. Unnikrishnan, to bring you in on this, once again, in the context of any potential diplomatic or other role that India can play in this entire situation, as the Ukrainian ambassador has wanted, with the Prime Minister about to phone President Putin, what would you think that conversation would go like?
I wish I had such insights into the minds of Mr. Modi and Mr. Putin. Both of those are black holes which are far more sophisticated than my simple mind. I would imagine that Mr. Modi would suggest to Mr. Putin that a diplomatic path to the solution of the Ukrainian problem is still something that he should look for and should be the preferable path to resolution. I think Mr. Modi would suggest that it is still possible to go down that path. And he would also want to try and understand from Mr. Putin what were the objectives of this entire move. What is it that eventually triggered Mr. Putin's actions? I completely agree with Tatiana that, the fact that for 8 years, repeated conversations over Minsk, its implementation did not bring any results, could frustrate any of the parties involved. And the internal situation developing in Ukraine was such that I think President Putin decided that the Minsk talks, the Minsk process was as good as dead. So hopefully the conversation between Mr. Modi and Mr. Putin would help both of them understand what the other one is up to.